All right. What's up, y'all? CK 40K here. We're talking about Fulgrim today. That's right. I finished it. I finished the whole book. I had some time on my hands because I demolished my ankle and leg playing rugby. So, figured I'd get some reading done. This was a good book. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know. It's not like it was bad. It was good, but does not beat The Flight of the Eisenstein at all. Like this is my favorite book so far. But yeah, really good book. And I was thinking I was gonna run you guys through it. I was just gonna be like, yeah, this is what happened. Here's what I liked. But I feel like most of the people who are gonna click on this or get recommended to it probably already know Fulgrim's whole story. So I won't really dive into that. But instead, I'm gonna be talking about some like parts of the book I really enjoyed, and mainly it's got to do with let's look right now. Let's look. What's his name? Austen, Delafour, and Serena de Angelis. So these two characters, and I promise I will get to Fulgrim. I promise I'll talk about my favorite parts with Fulgrim, but right now I really want to talk about these two. So Austen and Serena are two artists aboard the Emperor's Perfection. I think that's what the ship's called, the Emperor's Perfection, or the Emperor's something. It's like weird. It's like it's pretentious because it's Fulgrim. So yeah, I think it is. I'm not. I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna waste your time looking for it. And they're two artists. He's a sculptor. She's a painter. They have this really cute relationship at first. He's very introverted. Of course, the sculptor. They're both artists. And artists have a way of perceiving the world in a different way than we do. And it's just interesting to see these two people interact because when they do, he just is very introverted and he tries to tell her that he's very much interested in her. And I think she just kind of is she's passively aware, but she doesn't really follow up on anything. So just have a bunch of super nice, cool interactions throughout the book that deteriorate as she kind of gets slaneshified, if you will. Like she falls to excess. And that really starts when they meet with the lair, when they're hovering above that world. And Becca, her name is Becca, I'm pretty sure. The composer, her name is Becca Kinska, who also I just found out was basically the foundation for the Noise Marines and how they use those guitar weapons. So really cool. But Serena gets to go to the lair and world, and Ostian doesn't because Becca was upset with him. And this leads to Serena going to the lair and temple and getting corrupted with everybody else there, Fulgrim included. So as the story goes on, of course, she falls more and more into depravity. She's depressed that her artwork doesn't reflect how she thinks it should reflect her skill. And she starts mixing her blood with it. She starts mixing her bodily fluids with her art. And she just depicts Fulgrim. And it's lewd. It's disgusting. She kills a man after having sex with him. And she uses his blood and bodily fluids as well to make this new final finished masterpiece of Fulgrim. And it's awful. It's sad to see her slowly descend into madness, but this is what the whole book was about. The slow creeping, you know, fall to chaos is slow, and then you don't even realize you're corrupted until it's too late. Because she sees Ostian after she's killed this other remembrancer or archivist. I think he's a remembrancer. And she's just talking to him. She's like, "You don't understand." She's disheveled. "Ostian, please, please, Fulgrim, I have to do this for Fulgrim. I have to show the world that I'm this beautiful artist." And Ostian just tells her, "How dare you?" Because she goes on about how no one understands and that she's just struggling, and she calls him a genius and that he's never had to work for his talent. And this is really interesting because Ostian is really, and I like to say, he's like Saul Tarvitz. He in a legion full of people who seek perfection. None of them understand what perfection is, except the two people who are associated with not being perfect. Austin, like, and I'll get into that, but she just bad mouths him, right? He doesn't work for it. And he goes on this monologue and he says, "How dare you?" And I'm paraphrasing this, so stay with me. how dare you insult me like this? How dare you say I have no skill? Everything I have is based on the foundation I have worked for. I have spent countless hours in my studio. I have spent countless hours redoing projects. For you to say that I have not put in work is disgusting, and I thought more of you. And she's just disheveled and upset because again, she's falling into excess. She doesn't understand what she's saying is hurtful because to her, every sensation, hurt is good, pain is good, lust is good because it's all just it's intense. To him, it's not because he's not corrupted, and she's just devastated. And then it's just that she's a very interesting character to me. And then finally, oh god, when she sees Ostian after he's been impaled by Fulgrim because Fulgrim kills him, it's just so tragic that she looks to him and she has this brief moment, which seems to be common in this book when it comes to the corruption of Slaanesh. She says, "Oh my God, you loved me, and I didn't even love you back." Not because she didn't, not in the way that you would think. Not because she obviously wasn't romantically interested. She was. She was just so obsessed with her work and so obsessed with self doubt that she didn't realize someone there was her fan. Someone there thought she was a genius and beautiful and smart and capable of creative works that should be recognized. And she impales herself with him, and it's just beautifully just melancholy. It's very sad, but it's just so it's very rich storytelling to me. It really just paints a picture of depravity and sadness and the intensity of excess. Like it was really, really good. She also has a really good interaction with Lucius, which was surprising to me actually, because I assumed Lucius basically just doesn't care about anyone but himself in the sense that, oops, sorry, got a little warning there. In the sense like if a man or an Astartes is no different to Lucius. Both are useless compared to him. And he talks with Serena De Angelis, and she tells him how she killed this guy to make a painting, and there's scars all over her. And she said, "I'll never forget this because the scars will remember." And she gives him a knife, and he scars his face to remember Loken. And that was just it was minor, but I thought it was interesting, and it was also really interesting because at the end of the book, when Fulgrim's possessed by the demon and the demon takes his body, he notices that Slaanesh has claimed Lucius as its champion, or at least is thinking about it. So he gives him the lair and blade. I thought that was really just cool. I didn't know that was like what occurred, so that was cool. But yeah, those two were definitely the highlight of the book for me because again, if you've watched my videos, you know, or well, I guess well, listen, again, if you've watched my videos, you know I enjoy the more human aspects of the Horus Heresy so far. It's what's going on in the background between all this mass war and killing that really appeals to me at the moment. So it was really nice to see these two people who so desperately love each other but just couldn't communicate their love just suffer for it. I know that's a fucked up thing to say, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it was so tragic. Fulgrim, on the other hand, truly is tragic. And I know a bunch of people say that he gets butchered in like later iterations because they don't know what to do with his character. Was he always the demon, or was his point of the demon? And I'm not here to talk about that because again, I haven't read that. I'm not well versed in it, and anything I tell you is probably going to be from other people who are much more intelligent than I, who've actually researched it more than I have. I'm not going to bullshit you. I will talk about what I read though, and I think it was awful to me because when I read the book, I can see a lot of myself in Fulgrim, and I'll kind of tell you what I mean by that. I'm obviously not a 12-foot killing machine demigod, right? No, I'm far from it. I'm a 20-year-old college student who's very handsome. But no, it's when Fulgrim gets this lair and blade, this demon acts as his consciousness, right? And it takes advantage of the fact that he is so obsessed with perfection. And it's the idea of perfection he's obsessed with, not the actual goal of getting better. He thinks he could somehow attain the impossible. And this demon constantly does it. He makes him act out of character. He makes him belittle Ferris Manus when they meet up again. He makes him goad Horus. He like the demon makes him think all these awful things. Horus is diminishing you. He doesn't think you're capable. He's sending you to Isfahan 5 to act like a lackey. But then he says you need to trust Horus. Horus is with you. Horus is your perfect guide, the vessel to a new world without the Emperor who left you behind. It's obvious, like, the demon replaces Fulgrim's consciousness and really plays on his insecurities and self-doubt. And a lot of people think it's the self-doubt that gets him, which it is, but it's his insecurities. The demon constantly brings up things that he's insecure about. His perfection. He doesn't measure up in the eyes of the Emperor. His brothers, it constantly goads him to do things, and he does them because he thinks he has no other choice. Because in his mind, people, when you're like this, when you're so riddled with self-doubt, you do the things that already are in your mind because those are the only conceivable things you think you can do. Fulgrim kills Ferrus Manus because the blade, there's a part of it where the blade moved on its own, and then it immediately says after, although it really didn't, because Fulgrim had moved with in anticipation. This demon's telling him to do the thing that is so disgusting and awful, killing his brother, his favorite brother, who he shared intimate moments with, someone who he could truly cherish and love and talk to, and he killed him. And he broke down and he cried, and yet he wanted to do it. Why did he want to do it? You could say the demon really did it, and that's one interpretation. I think that's valid. I personally think he did it because he just didn't see any other way. Even when the demon was convincing him to follow Horus, he didn't see any other way. Because to him, if it's not perfection, if it doesn't coincide with his idea of himself, it fucks him up, and he just has to default to the negative. And it's just brutal to watch. It was sad to watch because I've had moments like that where if I'm doing something, right, like again, I said I played rugby. I'm an athlete. There's points and times where I want to be acknowledged, and I think that's a fair thing to say. Like, there are times where I've worked my ass off so hard, desperately, to just get an attaboy, just to hear anything, right? And it's normal to do that. But then there's to the extent where you do so much and you don't hear anything, and then it's so easy to turn on yourself and to just think, you don't deserve this, you didn't do this. Why do I? And then you quit, and then you mentally quit, so you don't attain effort. Like, there's been moments in my life where I haven't performed, and I would be like, well, it's someone else's fault. It's never my fault. It can't be my fault because I did this, and I don't even care about this. I'm upset, but I don't even care. And that's how I saw Fulgrim. Fulgrim, every time the demon goaded him to do something, react some way, it was like awful because he didn't want to do it. And then he started doing it to cope with the fact he didn't want to do it. When he saw Becca perform, when she was doing this hedonistic performance, and Julius and Lucius and Eidolon were all there. Lucius may not have been there. They were all admiring her, and it was just, he was crying, and it was just, he has these mood swings as the book progresses, as he's possessed, as the demon constantly ridicules him and subtly tells him these things of self-doubt and self-deprecation. It's brutal. It's truly brutal. Like, I don't know what to say, and it's just so sad to see, because he goes as this proud warrior to a warrior who snaps between instant depravity and instant remorse and sadness and disgust. Like, when he killed Ostian, even Ostian felt pity for him. This is a mortal man who felt pity for a giant who basically was a ruler, a warlord. And he said, I looked into the dark reflection of his eyes, and I just saw horror and remorse for killing me in his last moments. And it's just so reflective of Fulgrim in this whole book. He's just he's doing the worst because he thinks he deserves it, because he's so broken after hearing the Emperor is God and just dismantled him, and that he can never be perfect. And it's again, I'm beating a dead horse here, but it was really sad to see. I don't really get affected by books, well, no, it's not true. I cry at movies all the time if they're sad enough. I almost fucking cried at Barbie, but this made me feel a type of way. I won't lie. It was really sad to see. However, it was characters like Ostian and Saul Tarvitz that made this book, like it balanced out all the negative feelings I'm feeling, because Saul Tarvitz is basically a line warrior, as he's described. Nothing he won't achieve any greatness. And he has the same notions of perfection as most Emperor's children, except he realizes perfection is a concept that cannot realistically ever be attained in reality. The only thing you can do is step one step closer, one step closer. And it's the beauty of the journey. And that's the same thing Ausan says. The beauty of the journey of creation is understanding that things don't go the way you do, and you constantly improve on where you failed. You constantly improve because perfection is a concept. It is not a materialistic thing that can manifest in actuality. It's just not. And it's awesome. Those characters are awesome because, again, as I said, in a legion where men misunderstand perfection and worship it, these men understand it's a tool that they can use to better themselves in a healthy way, and not in a depraved way. But again, we're talking about demons and shit, so of course that's going to happen. But it was my favorite. It was also, I'm going to jump a little bit. Again, focused on Fulgrim and Ausan. There's a really good excerpt from this in the book. Fulgrim goes and meets with Ausan, and at this point, he's already really riddled with self-doubt, and the demons really just replaced most of his conscious and inner thoughts. And I think he either goes to Austan's studio or Austan's summoned there, one or the other. But the point is that Fulgrim made a statue, I think, a sculpture, I think, of himself or of something. And he asks Ausan his opinion, and he says, "Oh, my lord, it's too perfect." And Fulgrim couldn't understand what that meant. And Ausan goes on to say something along the lines of, fundamentally, it's perfect, it's without flaw, but that's what makes it flawed. It's mechanical, it's heartless. You did this with the concept in mind to enact it, and not have any feeling, any meaning, any, art is subjective in the fact that when we look at something, you feel a certain way and understand that it lacked in some spaces and excelled in others. Fulgrim's sculpture was amazing in the fact that Fulgrim wanted it to be amazing, so it was. There was no deeper meaning behind it. It was just, the best way I can describe it's like AI art. You gave him a command prompt. He did the thing. It looks good, very good, but it's devoid of soul, if you can understand what I mean. And this really irritates Fulgrim for two reasons. One, obviously, because of the vanity that's going on there, and just his own self. Again, he's with the demon, so he's very angry that the fact that something can be too perfect, and he basically just got shit on for his art because it was too perfect, and apparently that's a bad thing. And two, because again, it's kind of forcing him to look inward and reflect. And there's brief moments where he's like, too perfect, too perfect. And I don't think it's expressed in the book, but this is how I took this scene. I was like, I think he's thinking in that split second where Ausan tells him it's too perfect. Holy shit! Again, it's a concept and not something I could actually attain. Because early in the book, he says we get one step closer to perfection, and then as the book is concluding, perfection is perfection. That's what we're going to achieve. There's no step by step. It's one sensation after the next. This is perfection. And Fabius Bile drugs, perfection, a sensation. But that scene, I think, really just gives us a step into Fulgrim for the briefest seconds without actually giving us like a monologue or like an inner working of his thoughts in that scene. But it was really good. This was a good book. I liked the mentions of Angron. I like Corax and Fulgrim. Oh, sorry, Fulgrim. Corax and Vulcan and Ferrus Manus. And Angron I said Angron already, and Otarian. Horus again, and we saw not Torgadon, we saw Horus, Aximand, and Abaddon. Like Isfon 5 happened, Ferrus Manus is dead. It was tragic, and it was tragic seeing Fulgrim break down. It was sad, and Horus is disgusted by this thing that's possessed his brother. I didn't really care for that scene because like Horus is like, "You disgusting cretin, how dare you?" And the demon's like, "I actually got him on your side, bro." And he goes, "You're still gross, but okay. I get it from a practical standpoint. You want him because this demon's controlling most of the Emperor's children and organizing them. Sure, I get it. But the final scenes I didn't much care for. I much enjoyed the smaller interactions in this book, but it was a very good book. I do have to say it was nice, and I really enjoyed these parts of it. It was deep. It was very deep in a way. Actually, it was very good. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna find that next book though. The Scent of the Angels. I've been looking everywhere, and holy shit, is it a physical copy is expensive? So I might actually have to go because I've an Audible membership. I might do an audiobook, or I might do like a Kindle or PDF thing or whatever, so I can read it on my computer. But that's gonna be rough. Other than that, guys, if you did stick around for all this, thank you. I don't think most people who get this, it's gonna get recommended to you. So I don't know if you're gonna stay for the whole 20 minutes. Also, I'd just like to say on the last video, I appreciate all the interaction, honestly. Positive or negative, you're telling me to go fuck myself or not. I don't think you really understand how much it means to me that anybody's watching these videos, either to shit on me or shit on my understanding of Warhammer and the what I do and don't know. It means a lot to me that anyone's watching, really, and commenting. So, again, thank you guys. It really does mean a lot. Even if it's a guy on YouTube called freaking Dick Master calling me a piece of shit for having certain opinions, and then another guy who's also called Dick Master One defending me. It's appreciated, really. I couldn't stress it enough. It's awesome to just put myself. I'll listen. I put myself on the internet. I understand. I kind of put myself open to criticism and shit. So you're not gonna ever see me turn off the comments or the likes are probably gonna stay the way they are. I don't know how to fix that, like to show dislikes. I don't think YouTube does that, but anyway, I'm sorry. I've been talking a lot. I just have a lot on my mind. This is probably gonna be a video for me. I don't know if this is gonna get recommended anywhere or not. So yeah, this was all right. Final notes because I'm rambling and I'm gonna stop that. This was a really good book, and I think you can. Yeah, I'm sorry. I use a condom as a bookmark. You can really identify with a lot of the characters here. And I know my problem at the beginning when I really got interested in Warhammer was I didn't read and I just read excerpts from people without the full context. And I would read memes and I would get it from memes and I would get it from other creators who make videos. Like like I've watched Major Kill videos, I watched Luton, I watch a bunch of other smaller people, but equally as like super awesome content. Like I think this guy's name is like Mr. Bones and then like Pancreas Network or whatever. Like I've learned from other people, and I've always that's how I consumed Warhammer. But now, like reading the Horus Heresy and reading other books and getting immersed in the setting, it's a nice feeling. Like it's nice, and I'm happy I did it. And again, Fulgrim was awesome, but yeah, I'm sorry, I had a lot on my mind, and I just wanted to make a video. But other than that, you did stay for the whole 22 minutes. Thank you, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. If you had better things to do but chose to do this, you have my thanks. Otherwise, we're at 23 minutes. I won't keep you any longer. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed any of my other videos, I highly recommend you stick around because I have a lot of thoughts. Some are going to be bad, some are going to be good. But that's the joy of this. You can call me a shithead in one video, and then you can say you were right in the next video. So that being said, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching, and see you guys tomorrow.